Russian Foreign Minister affirms President al-Assad is a guarantor of the Syrian state and the Syrian army maintains its combat efficiency. Our armed forces intercept armed terrorist groups and kill a large number of them in Deir ez-Zor, Hama and Damascus suburbs. Scores of Saudis are killed in the explosion of an oil tank east of the capital, Riyadh. Good afternoon and welcome to our news for today. Russian Defense Minister Anatoly Serdyukov has said the Syrian Arab army that resists armed groups still maintains its combat efficiency. In a statement in the French capital Paris, Serdyukov said President al-Assad will not give up his post because stepping down would undermine the Syrian state. He described his meeting with the French side as fruitful, discussing various issues including the situation in Syria. He said France agrees that fighting in Syria would not lead to a solution to the crisis in the country. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has reiterated his country's emphasis on a political solution to the crisis in Syria according to the Geneva Agreement. Lavrov said Moscow and Paris agree on ruling out any military solution to the crisis and any attempt to partition the country. During a press conference with his French counterpart, Laurent Fabius, at the conclusion of the Russian-French Cooperation Council's meeting on security issues, Lavrov stressed that mercenaries who cross into Syria from neighboring countries are fighting on the side of the armed opposition in the country. Lavrov pointed out that to philosophize about the overthrowing of the president is not active and that the Syrians themselves have to determine their destiny. On his part, Fabius said Moscow and Paris have close stands on Syria and the need to guarantee the sovereignty of the state establishments. However, some differences still exist, as it is hard to outline a role for the president during the transitional period. He dismissed as untrue any direct military support by his country to the armed groups in Syria. Head of the Media Policy and Technology and Communications Committee at the Russian Duma Council, Alexei Mitrofanov, has denounced the media war waged on Syria. In a press conference held at the Duma Council, Mitrofanov said all Western news media have the same viewpoint regarding what is happening in Syria. He added that Western TV channels depend in their reports on a single source. They praise, he said, the terrorist explosions and the perpetrators because the latter fight the regime. He called on Western news media to diversify their sources and expressed astonishment at the absence of any condemnation by the international community of the terrorist blast in Syria. In Deir ez-Zor, an army unit has intercepted two terrorist groups and killed a large number of their members in Port Said and Al-Midilja streets. Among the terrorists identified was Abdelkarim Abdulrahman al-Hussein. The army engineering unit also dismantled a number of explosive devices planted by terrorists in the cemeteries region. In Al-Tim area, a terrorist group blew up an oil line, causing a huge fire to break out. An explosive device blew up at Al-Qura Al-Ardiya Square in Hama, killing two citizens and injuring two others, one of them seriously. The terrorist blast was caused by an explosive device in a pickup car. A unit of the armed forces clashed today with an armed terrorist group which was intimidating the citizens and sabotaging the public and private properties in Zamalka in Damascus countryside. An official source told Sana reporter that the clash resulted in the killing of a number of the armed group's members, among them the group's leader, Brahim al-Ghoush. The source pointed out that another unit of the armed forces pursued an armed terrorist group in Hujera in As-Sayyida Zainab in Damascus countryside, which was was sabotaging the area. The operation resulted in the killing of a number of terrorists, including non-Syrian persons. Terrorist Jasem al-Khalaf of Jordanian nationality was identified among them. Terrorists detonated 3 explosive devices last night in residential neighborhoods in Al-Mazza area in Damascus, resulting in casualties and injuries among civilians. Terrorists detonated an explosive device planted near a mosque in Al-Mazza Jabal area, resulting in the killing of 1 citizen and the injury of 2, one of them seriously. The device contained around 20 kilograms of explosives. Meanwhile, 5 citizens were seriously wounded when an explosive device was set off by terrorists opposite Al-Jala Sports City in Al-Mazza. A 3rd explosive device went off near a shop in Sheikh Saad neighborhood in Al-Mazza, inflicting superficial wounds of 1 child. In Saudi Arabia, 22 people were killed and 111 others injured following a collision of a fuel truck against a bridge east of the capital, Riyadh. Eyewitnesses confirmed that at least 7 cars were burned and heavy material damages inflicted on nearby buildings. The superstorm Sandy, which rampaged northeast of the USA, has killed 64 people, 34 in New York City only. Officials said the count could still rise. President Barack Obama was to resume campaigning after a pause caused by the superstorm Sandy. About 6 million homes and businesses in 15 U.S. states were without power yesterday. In New York, many railways were closed and more than half of the gas stations in the city and neighboring New Jersey were offline. The big damage affected the towns along the New Jersey shore as homes were flooded, boardwalks were washed away, and gas mains ruptured. The cost of clearing up after the storm in the region is estimated to be between $30 to $40 billion. With this, we end our news bulletin for today. Thank you for watching. For more information about Syria and the region and to view our bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, SyriaOnline.sy. And now over to latest business and market news with Khalid Saqabani after a short break.